Okay, this is an article that just came out in The Root. White men can't murder. Why white cops are immune to the law. Philando Castile was not murdered because white police officers don't murder black men. If that statement upsets you, allow me to cheer you up with a joke. What's rarer than getting struck by lightning, being killed by a terrorist, or winning the lottery? Well, in the past 10 years, 123 people or groups have hit the Powerball jackpot. The Weather Channel estimates that on average 49 people are struck by lightning every year. In the past 10 years, terrorists, including people committing hate crimes, have murdered about 18 people per year, according to the FBI statistics. But since June 2007, out of approximately 100,000 police shootings, only 5 white police officers have been imprisoned for killing someone black. While there is no definitive resource that catalogs police killings by race, the Root looked at the data from the Washington Post, Fatal Encounters, the Guardian, and the National Police Misconduct Report Project from 2007 to 2017 and found only 3 cases of a white police officer serving time for killing an African American. In one case, 3 police officers were charged with killing a 92-year-old grandmother. Oh my God. Why does this happen? Instead of using psychological conjure, legal hypothesis, or emotional reasoning, we decide to use data and statistical analysis to examine why white police officers rarely serve time for taking black life. How rare is it? Is it really so rare that white police officers serve time for killing black men and women? According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 70% of people charged with some form of killing, including murder, manslaughter, homicide, etc., in America are eventually convicted. That's what researchers call the homicide conviction rate. When it comes down to police, that rate drops presumptuously. Bowling Green State University Police Integrity Loss Project shows that only 29 officers have been convicted for killing on duty since 2005, mostly on lesser charges. Police are 33% less likely than a regular citizen to be convicted of a crime, and the conviction rate for cops charged with some form of murder is 35%. Half of that, the normal population. In fact, in the last 13 years, only one officer was convicted of intentional murder. And in the rare case in which a cop is convicted, the officer hardly ever does time for killing a black man. All right? Because we have been devalued from the time we stepped on American soil. Since we have encountered this Caucasoid devil, we have been devalued. But see, black people, they can devalue us all they want. Once we start valuing each other, there's not a damn thing they can do. I don't give a damn about what a Caucasoid devalues. They are the lowest form subhuman life on the planet. We have to value ourselves and not worry about what the Caucasoid values. They can keep devaluing all they want. All we got to do is reject it. Okay. And it's sad, but we are going to have to contemplate not using the police. We're just going to have to consider it. If we stop calling them, a lot of the shootings can be diminished just from not calling them and relying on other means to settle your issues. And that's going to mean dealing with the problematic people in the community. We're going to either have to straighten them out or do some street justice on them. I hate to say that, but that's what we're going to have to do. We know there are many, many problematic people among us that just will not try to change. And that's going to be some tough decisions that we're going to have to make if we're no longer going to call the police, plain and simple. So if we don't call them, what's the alternative? We better start putting together some type of safety net for our community if we're going to stop calling these Caucasoid cops, or any non-black cop for that matter, because really none of them care about us. Between 2005 and 2017, 33 of the 49 people killed by indicted cops were black, but only 5 officers were convicted, making the homicide conviction rate for black victims a mere 12%. Michael Brelow is a perfect example. After a 2012 car chase, Brelow and other Cleveland police officers fired 137 bullets at Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams. Brelow shot 49 of those bullets, meaning that he took the time to reload twice. When he fired the last 15 rounds, Brelow was standing on top of the car where he could probably see the couple, was unarmed and likely already dead. Brelow was found not guilty of all charges. The playing field is tilted. Part of the reason for the discrepancy in convictions of police officers is that the justice system is tilted towards them. If the conviction rate for officers charged with homicide seems low, the statistics on how few officers are charged is startling. Most cops never even face charges for shooting black victims, even though 1,146 lives were ended by police in 2015. Not one cop was convicted for an on duty killing that year. Do you know, I read, it must have been in 2014, there were police departments that killed no one but black people. They exclusively killed blacks only for the entire year. I believe it was 14 police departments in the United States killed for their entire year of 2014 nothing but black people. That's pretty fucked up. Prosecutors have worked with police departments every day, so many are reluctant to bring charges against officers who work with them to convict criminals. Even when prosecutors charge the cops, and the grand jury process endures that many officers will never face trial. In many states, when evidence is present in front of a grand jury, the victim is presented by the state. While this seems legitimate in most criminal cases, in the cases of police shootings, the prosecutors trying to indict the police are essentially teammates of the accused. It is why Darren Wilson never faced a trial for shooting an unarmed 18-year-old named Mike Brown after St. Louis County Prosecutor Bob McCullough, I hope one day this man dies a painful death, whose father was a police officer, sent the case to a grand jury instead of arresting him. It explains why Richmond County District Attorney Dan Donovan refused to release the details of the case after the Staten Island, New York grand jury refused to indict Daniel Pantaleo for squeezing the death out of Eric Gardner with an illegal chokehold. It's the reason the cop who shot 12-year-old Tamir Rice in Cleveland 2 seconds after exiting the patrol car never stood in front of a judge or jury. It is why the men who shot John Crawford for holding a BB gun in a Beaver Creek, Ohio Walmart never faced trial. But that whole thing unfolded because the caller, the white guy that called 911, lied. He lied and said that John Crawford was pointing that gun at people in the store, and he was not doing that. So, you got a lot of these Caucasoids calling 911 and lying their asses off. In 2015, of 235 unarmed black people killed by law enforcement officers, only 18 deaths resulted in officers being charged. Another 169 unarmed civilians were killed in 2016. Well, that is troubling in itself. Why are so many American cops shooting unarmed people? That right there, they're allowing that. They're allowing that. It's allowed, and it shouldn't be. According to The Guardian, only 16 officers even face charges. In the last 10 years, only 82 cops have ever faced charges for killing anyone, meaning that more than 99% of cops who have caused the death of a civilian were never charged with a crime. 99%. So that right there just tells you, black people, when there's another shooting, the odds of you beating a case is zero. Okay, if they're letting 99% of the time they're not being charged, you're not going to beat these cases in court. They already got it rigged up where the judge, the jury, all of them are in cahoots with each other, and you're not going to beat these cases. That's pretty much what that's saying. So you either accept verdicts or street justice. You take justice in your own hands, just like they're playing judge and jury and prosecutor when they come up on you and you don't get due process. You would have to take that away from them. It's probably because white people find black men scary. So they're more likely to believe the feared for my life defense. No, they know that these cops are full of shit, but they have been trained to use that line to get out of everything. That's a get out of jail free card right there for them, using that line. Okay. When you hear too many people using the same line and saying the same thing, it's coached. And they even sound coached when they say that. Oh, well, and I didn't know he didn't have a gun and I feared for my life. It's coached. They coached him to say that. And it's done all over the country in every single police department among these white officers. But a black cop can't get away with that. It's for white cops only. That I feared for my life is for non black cops only. It's not for anyone else. That's not a statement of opinion. A 2017 study published in the American Psychological Association Journal of Personality and Social Psychology showed that white people perceive black men as more muscular, heavier, taller, stronger, and more dangerous than white men the same size and weight. Um, A September 2016 Pew Research poll showed that 81% of whites have confidence in their local police, although they're the ones that kill the police. They're the cop killers, but they got confidence in them at the same time. 75% of whites believe police officers always use appropriate amount of force, and 75% of white people think that cops treat all ethnicities equally. And a scant 25% of whites disagree with the statement that all blacks get a fair trial, according to the Washington Post. Even when they are aware that cops stop blacks more often than whites, only 17% of white people think it's a problem. Uh, 2015 Associated Press University of Chicago poll found that the majority of white people believe that the criminal justice system treat cops too harshly, but treated blacks fairly. See, this is why you need to separate from these people. This is why. These are the people who serve on juries. These are the judges, lawyers, and prosecutors. They believe that black people are big and scary. They trust the police. They have faith in the justice system. They don't think cops are biased. They live under the perception that the world is fair. Cops are pure of heart and no one cares about the people color of your skin, which is completely false. Okay. That's why blacks are more likely to get shot because they care that much about the skin color. That's false. They are the ones who make up a justice system that believes Tulsa, Oklahoma officer Eddie Shelby was afraid of big black Terrence Crusher, um, even though he was walking away with his hands up. They understand 6'4" Darren Wilson when he said that 6'5" Mike Brown was like the Hulk. They sympathize um, with the officers who shot missing John Crawford strolling down the aisle in Walmart. They wouldn't choked Eric Gardner too. They would have choked Eric Gardner too. They would have wrestled the belligerent Sandra Bland to the ground in Texas too. They don't serve time. So let's say that lightning strikes on the same day you win the lottery as you land a unicorn onto its back of the Loch Ness monster and a cop is charged and tried and convicted of a crime. Before you jump up and down, you should know one fact. He or she probably won't do time. The average sentence served by someone convicted of killing another human is 81 months, which doesn't seem like a long time for someone, because it's not. It's not. Um, I'm going to leave the link to this article in the description box, but this should pretty much sum up that you are not going to get any justice in this land. Black people, it's not coming. It has not come for centuries. These people would rather die than let you walk away and put a cop in jail. I think if a cop went to jail for shooting one of us, white America would take to the streets over it. They would have a meltdown, probably worse than what you seen them when OJ during that trial. You got to understand, they're all in this together and keeping you from getting any fairness anywhere in this country, on jobs, your kids getting a fair shake if they have an altercation in school, and even through the court system. They're all in it together to keep you from getting justice. Don't look for man's justice. Look for your justice from the Most High. We have to serve justice if we want it, and not rely on the incompetent white man's court. We have to figure out what we're going to do to get that justice. The white man's court is not going to provide you with justice. The white man's court is going to always let him go. And he's going to always make sure you never see or know what justice looks like. It's not going to happen, Black people. Please understand, we're going to have to rely on each other for that justice, and decide how we are going to serve justice when it comes down to our community. The white man's court is no good for us. It's no good. Please leave your comments and subscribe, and if you can, donate to this channel. Peace, family.